So let's talk a little bit about the ethical or the political upshot of what Rorty is saying in this piece. I think for Rorty, the ultimate threat is to democracy because he sees issues of relativism as best viewed as challenges to ethical or political ways of life. And there are certain habits and values, which many of which we inherit from European or Enlightenment periods and places. And these are things which realists try to justify as ahistorical, as transcultural, as ultimate, whether it's natural rights or a human essence or rationality or a correspondence view of truth. Pragmatist Rorty is saying, listen, he's saying we don't need any ahistorical transcultural grounds for our arguments in order to make the case for human rights, for democracy, for tolerance, for our opposition to cruelty, and so forth. We don't have any non-circular arguments for our values, but we start from where we are with our values, with the values that we hold, and with our vocabulary and with our practices of dialogue and inquiry. And we listen to argument, we search out and observe disagreement and views that differ from us, and we work through dialogue and debate to possibly even change some of the things that we believe. But we start from where we are. Now, in the end, there are some metaphysical comforts that are removed by pragmatism, and this is something we have to face up to, Rorty thinks. And what disturbs many people about pragmatism is how it cuts away two traditional metaphysical sources of comfort, Rorty says. One is the idea that there are biologically transmitted human rights, right? And this is why realists will harp on human nature or natural rights. That comfort is cut away. Another comfort that's cut away is the idea that our culture's achievements represent something that's necessary, something that's eternal, something that's universal. And this is true. The realist believes that even if somehow we were destroyed, we were all killed, or our culture was all destroyed, the things that we believe in, our values, our virtues, even our culture, would someday regenerate out of the ashes in some new generation of human beings, somehow. Because what we are, or what we think of as being ultimately real or true or good, is what we were always meant to become. Rorty says that's cut away as well. So Rorty comments that about these two comforts, that these comforts are just fruitless ways of trying to formulate the idea that we should treat people in certain ways that we believe in. We should treat them with kindness, with tolerance, with respect. And he says, look, it may be impossible to eradicate these two comforts as hopes, and maybe they can remain as hopes, they can remain as ideals. But they cannot be ideals about something that we worship as being really real in the nature or the inherent character of human beings, because there just ain't no such thing. Rorty in his piece, and I just have a little bit more to say, Rorty in his piece also says we can look to people like Nietzsche to help diagnose where this thirst for objectivity comes from. Pragmatists can look to Nietzsche because Nietzsche saw that objectivity, the desire for objectivity, is in fact, it's a fear. It's a fear of facing up to contingency. But pragmatists can at least make an additional point to what Nietzsche contributed with his diagnosis, namely that this is the most practical way to improve life. And so you can think of the great James Baldwin, who said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. So, in summary then, Rorty has made the following case in this piece. Traditional realism isn't working. It no longer succeeds in justifying our behavior. And so, we should embrace a merely, quote unquote, merely ethical foundation for our sense of community. And this is a way, this embrace of solidarity instead of objectivity, is a way we can retain the values that we think are important: tolerance, dignity, human rights, and so forth, while rejecting their usual philosophical justifications, right, that appeal to a God's eye view. Anyway, that's all for this lecture. I hope it's been helpful for your understanding, and I look forward to talking to you about it soon.